Stolen valor. Senator requests $500 million for wounded soldiers. There's just one huge problem. Democrats are at it again. For far too many years, the Democrats have been perfectly happy with allowing our veterans to waste away behind smoke screens like the VA. The VA is basically set up to over-medicate our men and women, and it is extremely underfunded on purpose to avoid any real treatments having to be provided. As a result of the Democratic anti-veteran funding bill, we have 22+ vets a day taking their own lives when they should have had the ability to get proper care. Now, to add insult to very serious injury, an egotistical Democratic senator wants to have the American taxpayer heavily fund soldiers of another country. This is not to make the Ukrainian soldiers sound in any way less important, but when it will be time for the government as a whole to do what is right by our soldiers first and foremost. With plenty of good reason, American conservatives share a general perception that members of the Democrat Party don't particularly care about the men and women who serve the country in uniform and will at best pay mere lip service to our nation's veterans. Thus, it was a bit of a surprise for some to hear liberal Democrat Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal call for an additional $500 million to be added to the Senate's 2018 defense spending bill to help care for wounded soldiers, according to WTIC. Except there is just one problem with that. It wouldn't be wounded U.S. soldiers that taxpayer money would be used to care for, but instead Ukrainian soldiers wounded in the government's ongoing civil war against Russian-backed separatists in the eastern half of the country. Speaking at St. Michael's Church in New Haven on Sunday, Blumenthal met with members of the Ukrainian American and immigrant community in Connecticut and shared with them his proposed legislation that would provide extra funding to bring wounded Ukrainian soldiers to the U.S. to receive treatment at Defense Department operated medical facilities. This increased Russian aggression is causing greater numbers of wounded soldiers, which means the United States should provide more assistance, explained Blumenthal, according to WTNH. That's the purpose of the new law I've introduced. As policy stands now, Ukrainian soldiers are allowed to be transported to America for treatment at military facilities only when Ukraine is incapable of providing adequate care for their particular injuries or other medical problems. Given the Democrat Party's less than stellar record on caring for or about U.S. veterans, not to mention Blumenthal's own history of being, shall we say, less than truthful about his own military experience, the extra attention devoted to wounded Ukrainian soldiers hasn't sat well with some people who feel that the money could be better spent caring for our nation's own wounded soldiers. During an appearance on Fox and Friends on Wednesday, former Navy SEAL Carl Higbee gave Blumenthal and others a nod for wanting to help the Ukrainians, but questioned whether the senator's proposal was the best use of $500 million in taxpayer money, noting that the funds to care for wounded Ukrainians would be coming out of the paychecks of everyone, including the low-rank enlisted soldiers of our own forces. Higbee suggested that the finances of it don't make any sense for the American people. Higbee would rather see that $500 million spent on pay raises for the military or put towards construction of the border wall or spent on other pressing infrastructure needs. Or, maybe that money could be put towards caring for our own wounded service members receiving questionable care at the hands of the Department of Veterans Affairs. To be sure, it isn't that nobody cares about Ukrainian Ukrainians or whatever, in fact, far from it, as those who are wounded while fighting to defend their country from internal strife instigated by Russian influences most certainly have our sympathies. However, we as a nation simply can't afford to be providing extra medical care for them, or anyone else for that matter, when we seemingly can't even provide sufficient care for our own wounded veterans. With all due respect to those battling in Ukraine, this is still a huge slap in the face to our armed forces. Democrats continue to show that they are the most un-American human beings in the country. Yeah, wasn't McCain down there with the Ukrainians? I don't really know too much about this, but I just know McCain was down there with the Ukrainians and trying to start up a fight with Russia. You know, that's a losing battle. Let me put it to you just this way. We're talking about Russia and the Ukraine, night and day. Did you ever see Russia's military? It's a joke at this point. What this Ukrainian fight, I don't really know that much about it. But again, you don't take care of your own, there's no money there. So why even tell the Ukrainians to fight? You know, we have to take care of our own business here. We can't be bothered with this international stuff of what they're doing. Let them fight their own battles. Why is America getting involved in all of this? It's beyond me. It's beyond me. And you know, if McCain has a hand in it, you know it's bad news right then and there. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.